Welcome to the Restoration Domination Podcast, where you learn actionable advice that moves the needle and helps service-based businesses dominate. Here's your host, Rico Garcia Jr.
What is going on, Dominators? Rico Garcia here, bringing you yet another amazing episode. Brother, welcome to the show. Are you ready to help us dominate?
Ready.
You're like, let's do it. Awesome. Cool. So listen, for those that may not be familiar with your name, familiar with what it is that you do, give us a little bit of background on what it is that you do and how you're helping the industry.
I wrote everything down, so I won't.
You wrote everything down so you won't forget.
Yes, my name is Elan, and I do business as Born to Repair LLC. I repair and teach how to repair restoration equipment. I'm an advocate for in-house equipment repairs and equipment safety.
Mm-hmm.
I started in-house restoration equipment repairs Facebook group for people who want to repair their own equipment. I write for the CNR magazine for Michelle Belvins, and I'm an Instagram poet, believe it or not.
Yeah, we've seen some of that Instagram poetry that you post from time to time. Some of that good humor in the industry, which is awesome. Something that I wanted to talk to you about, because even though we have a different approach as far as what we believe should be in-house. Obviously, you do a lot of equipment repair, and you believe that equipment repair should be in-house. I believe that a lot of restoration contractors and home service pros, one of the main issues that they have is, in order to get the equipment to work, right, to make them money, they need to have the phone ring first to ask for service, right? They need customers. So I'm always talking about bringing marketing in-house, to bringing sales in-house, right? To bring in that aspect. And obviously a lot of people in the industry agree with that. What a lot of people haven't caught on with is the importance of your equipment maintenance, right? And what it is that you bring to the table, and how it is that you're showing them how to repair equipment. So talk to us a little bit about that. Like what is, how complicated is it when you're looking at, these, dehumidifiers and hair scrubbers and all of the equipment that we use in the industry? Like, how complicated is it to repair and to get a foundation of knowledge so that you can be, effective at repairing your own equipment?
Repairing restoration equipment is not complicated at all, as long as you keep safe, because it can be dangerous if you don't know what you are doing. But basically, when I teach how to repair restoration equipment, one day is completely enough to know everything. The advantages are very significant, because I don't know how it is in the rest of the country, but here in San Diego, if you have broken equipment, you send it out to be repaired. It takes a month until you get an estimate. It takes another month, for everything to be repaired. And that's in the slow season. So if it's a busy season, a busy repairs season, then it can take 3 or 4 months until you get your equipment back. If you're a medium-sized to large-size restoration company, if you have already a warehouse manager, you might as well also repair the equipment instead of sitting around most of the day. So that will save you tons of money, because you don't need too much equipment, because your equipment is in the warehouse the whole time and can be repaired on the same day if you have a problem. You don't have to send 10 pieces of equipment every time to be repaired and wait 4 months until you get it back. So you spend less money on new equipment. You spend less money on repairs too, and it saves you tons of time too.
So how did you get into repairing restoration equipment to begin with?
It was a mistake, a happy mistake.
Isn't that how most people get into the restoration arena? It's some kind of a mistake.
And right, I was working on a project, starting an appliance business actually, and it took too long. My wife was very upset at me that I'm, in the house the whole day. So I applied to work in a restoration company. Took like 2 months. The owner of the company saw on my resume that I can, repair appliances. So he took me to the warehouse where he had a huge pile of broken stuff. And, I taught myself how to repair them. Then he he made a mistake of showing me the estimate from the repair shop that used to repair his stuff before I came. So, I saw how much they charge, which was completely ridiculous. And eventually I told them, look, I want you to triple my salary. Otherwise, I'm giving you 2 weeks notice. And that's what eventually happened. I gave him 2 weeks notice, and I just went door by door to offer my services. And here I am, like 4 years later.
To other restoration companies, and so you just basically started, prospecting and just going door to door and saying, hey, we can repair equipment. And I'm assuming that a lot of the places that you ended up visiting, restoration companies, most of them had at least 1 or 2 pieces of equipment that were just kind of in the back of the warehouse somewhere. It wasn't making them any money, and it was just kind of sitting there, right?
Some of them had equipment. Some of them took a few months until they eventually called me.
Mm-hmm.
Each one with their own story. Some of them are like, I just sent my equipment yesterday, and then they called me. Some of them never called me, but right now I work with like 50 different restoration companies in the area. I get new clients all the time now, and I would say that in the San Diego area, I probably repair more than half of all of the equipment in this area. That's
nice. Which is obviously a pretty awesome little niche that you've carved out for yourself there. But what a lot of people don't know, or what I think a lot of people don't know about you, is that you're not just local to the San Diego area. In other words, you are also going around to other restoration companies out of state, and helping their in-house warehouse managers learn how to do the repairs and everything else, correct?
Right. Sometimes they'll fly me out to a different state, and I'll just teach them how to repair. And I also work in California. If a place is a driving distance from me, like if it's a 4-hour drive for me, or sometimes even more, they'll and they have enough equipment, then they'll put me in a hotel. I'll drive the night before. I'll sleep the night in a hotel, and then I'll go to repair their. So yes, I work mainly in the San Diego area, but I'll be happy to work anywhere. I don't mind. I don't discriminate.
Right. So on average, right, because obviously you do a lot of repairs, and anybody that's in the restoration business for a while has bought expensive equipment, and yes, you make your money off of the equipment, but eventually the equipment's going to break down, right? So I think a lot of people look at it and they say, you know what, we'll just either buy a new piece of equipment, or that's the end of it. Like, it's reached the end of its lifeline, and they reinvest and they purchase another piece of equipment, when in reality, this equipment, if with a little bit of tender loving care, it can be brought back to life and could generate a lot more revenue. How much have you seen from the companies that you work with hand in hand that have taken the time to repair their equipment, that have learned how to repair their equipment? How much more life have you noticed they've been getting out of the equipment? Because ultimately, more life in the equipment means more profit. So what have you seen there?
For me, if I teach you how to repair your own equipment and then I never hear from you back again, that's considered a service.
Right.
So sometimes they'll reach out with like a question. Hey, I had this problem, I can solve it, and I'll be happy to help them. But fortunately, I never hear from them again, and that's on the one side, I don't know how long their equipment lasts. On the other side, that's also a good sign. But in general, I would recommend putting more effort, more than even in the repairs. I would recommend putting a preventative measure to keep your equipment from getting into the broken pile, which is much cheaper and easier to do. Unfortunately, with the restoration industry, it's a matter of culture a lot of times, and the culture of treating equipment well is just not there yet, and hopefully it will be. let's see how that goes. I mean, I can talk
So let's
for a long
talk to us a little bit about the actual preventative measures that should be in place. In other words, like how should people be using their equipment when they're on job sites, or what are some of the biggest things that you've seen that just doesn't make sense?
So the first thing I would recommend is when performing a demo, keep the equipment outside of the containment. Doing that will extend the life of the equipment significantly. The second thing,
Right.
when loading the garbage into the truck, if you put the garbage bags on top of the equipment, then of course the garbage bags will spill a little into the equipment. That clogs the pumps and gets the equipment really, really dirty. So if you put which everybody does, of course, right? So if you put the garbage bags on top of the equipment, separate it with like a sheet of plastic, or the more expensive solution is to have two trucks, one for the garbage, one for the equipment. I know nobody's going to do that, but at least try to keep the equipment clean. And the obvious thing is to use filters, the right filter, the right sized filter, and also a clean filter, and don't use like filters that don't fit. Also, I would recommend the filters that are the disposable ones, the ones from paper, not the reusable ones, because the
Right.
fine dust can go through the reusable ones. So the paper ones,
Right.
they keep the equipment clean. Unfortunately, it's disposable, but
Right.
I prefer to throw a filter away than to throw a DQ away.
Right, of course, yeah, 100%. Do you see, for a lot of the repairs that you're getting called in for, do you see a lot of people using the reusable ones as opposed to the disposable filters out there? Because as a general rule of thumb, most people in the restoration arena should be using, the disposable ones. They shouldn't really be using them from job site to job site, things of that nature. But have you seen quite a few organizations that are just using reusable filters, and at the end of the day?
Right, and most of the times you're supposed to clean them. A lot of people don't even clean them. The DQs that are made in China in general, they come with a reusable filter. I mean, with the DQ. So here I have one behind me. So you see, this is a reusable filter that comes with the DQ when it is a made in China DQ, and you can see that it's see-through.
Right.
So if it's see-through, that also means that it can come through.
Right. 100%. 100%. Now, is this an issue that mainly it's smaller organizations that you notice are really not taking care of their equipment as well? Or is this across the board, small organizations, big organizations, franchises, independents? Like, is it just all over the place?
It's a matter of culture, but usually in a small business, there's more control. So in a small business, the person who pays for the equipment also goes on a job, and he cares about the equipment because he just paid for it. In larger businesses, sometimes there's no control. Sometimes the owner of the business doesn't even come to the business.
Right.
He has a manager, and basically nobody cares. In other places, because I've been to huge places where there's several people working in the warehouse. There's a warehouse manager, there's the repair guy, and they make sure that everything is clean and tidy. And in other big companies, nobody cares. So it really is a matter of culture of the business itself. But in general, I would say that most dirty equipment is in the larger companies.
Got it. So one of the things that I've always wondered, right? I'm very much about brands. Maybe it's the clout that a brand represents, and or the price tag. In my mind, sometimes more expensive is better than your cheaper pieces of equipment or things of that nature. So something that I've always wondered is in fact more expensive equipment, these big brand name equipment, are they a better alternative in fact, than these cheaper, almost no-name brands. But before you answer that, let's just go ahead and take a quick moment to thank our sponsors. Hey, Dominators, are you facing cash flow issues? Well, Inc. has your back with advanced funding. Qualifying contractors can receive working capital within 1 to 2 business days. So this way, you can say goodbye to the burden of floating resources for materials as well as labor. Restore properties faster with the funds that you need. The cost? Simple. Just 1.95% of the claims check for the first 30 days, prorated daily thereafter, or you could opt for a flat rate of just 3.95% with uncertainty protection. Remember to use promo code DOMINATE and receive 50% off the one-time sign-up fee of $2.99 for InkPay, and then unlock the rest of Ink's innovative payment solutions. Start your journey at ink.com today. That's IINK.com, ink.com, and use promo code DOMINATE. Hey guys, let me ask you a quick question. Do you want to get paid faster and collect more on your insurance invoices? Then listen, look no further than One Claim Solutions. OCS is an insurance billing specialist that works with adjuster on behalf of people just like us, restoration contractors, to accelerate our receivables cycle and, more importantly, increase our overall collections. Contractors that work with One Claim get their invoices paid on average in around 32 days. And in most cases, actually see an increase in the collections that more than offset the price of the service. So in a lot of ways, this makes OCS effectively free. And that's even before you start to count in the overhead savings that's tied to billing and all of the other administrative burdens that go along with that. So I tell you what, let One Claim Solutions deal with carriers so that you can spend more time on what matters most, which is running your business. Get your free consultation today. Head on over to oneclaimsolution.com/dominate. Once again, that is oneclaimsolution.com/dominate. Dominators, let's face it, your company will make it or break it on the backs of your estimating team. But if we're honest here for a second, what tools have you actually given them to succeed? The Actionable Profile is the newest tool inside of your estimator's toolbox, or at the very least, it should be. The Actionable Xactimate Profile is a data-driven solution that provides real-time estimating guidance on the fly. It checks for both overages, omissions in your estimates in real time, leading your team to having much more accurate scopes each and every single time that they're writing an estimate. Avoid any kind of potential conflicts with the adjuster and ensure that your estimates include every single warranted line item with the Actionable Xactimate Profile. Get your free demo today. If you head on over to value.getinsights.org/dominate, we've got an amazing offer for you. Again, head on over to value.getinsights.org/dominate and get your free demo today. That one's good. Hey, are you a restoration business owner who's ready to retire or maybe just move on to a new venture? Well, selling your business can be a very complex process, but Restoration Brokers of America is there to help. They have over 15 years of experience inside of the restoration industry. RBA has helped countless entrepreneurs sell their businesses for maximum value. Now, whether you're looking to sell your business quickly or you're simply interested in a long-term exit strategy, RBA's team of experts can guide you through the process from start to finish. At RBA, they understand that selling your business is a huge decision. And more importantly, they're committed to making the process as seamless as possible. So if you're ready to start thinking of an exit strategy, this is what I want you to do. Visit sellmyrestorationbusiness.com. Again, that is sellmyrestorationbusiness.com to get more information. You've worked hard to build it. Let RBA work hard to sell it. Hey, Restoration Dominators, real quick, I want to jump in here because I want to talk about money-making activities, right? And in this particular case, we're going to be talking about finding that absolute best talent. And look, let's face it, if you're a restoration company and you're an owner or you're a hiring manager, you're constantly trying to find that top industry talent, right? Well, listen, Wylander is the go-to recruiting organization in our industry. Now, why can I say that? Well, very simple. With over 1,000 placements and more importantly, experience in all 50 states as well as Canada, they not only have the connections, but they have the expertise to find that perfect superstar for your company. So listen, Don't waste any more time sifting through resume after resume and conducting interview after interview. Let Wylander do the heavy lifting for you and find that absolute perfect candidate. Contact Wylander today and start building your dream team in disaster restoration. All right, guys, welcome back. So we're just talking about, one of the big questions that I always have is, hey, you have the option to buy a $4,000 DHU, or you have the option to buy a $1,000, right? The only difference is the brand, and that's widely recognized in the industry. And then you have this no-name brand type of DHU. Question is, at the end of the day, like, which piece of equipment is really better, or does it matter?
How sensitive are we to caring about what the manufacturers say?
Yeah, I'm not sensitive at all. No sensitivity.
You have no, so I can say whatever I want, and nobody will get offended.
You can say whatever you want. Absolutely. Well, they may get offended. It doesn't bother me one bit.
It will still be aired and not highly edited.
Yeah, exactly.
So, because I had these problems in the past, So, so basically, this is how I think about. I think about it from a financial point of view. Maybe because I'm Jewish, but the way I see it is, if you have a budget for equipment, let's say for simplicity, $10,000, you're going to spend on equipment right now, and you have one type of DHU that is $2,000 each. You have another type of DHU that is $1,000 each. So for the same amount of budget, you can buy twice the equipment if you go for the cheaper version. Now, let's say for simplicity, that the cheaper version will last half of the time that the expensive version will last. So for the same budget, you have, for the same amount of time, twice as much as equipment. In that time, you can use it on more jobs, make more money. So just the math, says that you should get the cheaper version. And the cheaper versions, they last much longer than half the amount of time as they expect. Now, let's talk about why the expensive versions are more expensive. There's the greatest example I can think of right now is the dry ease HEPA from the 500 turned into the 700. Now the 500s are not available anymore. You have to buy a 700. The 700 has a touchscreen, but why do you need a touchscreen on a fan with a filter? So, every fan has an on-off switch, and switches break, and they eventually fail. That's inevitable. But on the 700, because the switch is also a touchscreen, it will cost you $300 just to replace it. Compared to the 500, where the switch costs $12.
Yeah, and all of those small little expenses, right? I mean, on one piece of equipment, it's not a big deal. But when you're talking about a warehouse full of equipment, I mean, that adds up really, really quickly.
Right. So the more expensive brands are filling their equipment with functions that are not widely used, let's say. So all of the Bluetooth technology, not widely used. None of my clients ever used that option. So the only reason they use the Bluetooth is to give it updates, but it did not need updates if it was not Bluetooth. But if you don't give it updates, then it will stop working correctly. But the whole idea is that you can control it from home. But nobody wants to do that because there's no financial incentive to do that. You want to send a technician to inspect the job, because that way you make more money. So they're basically thinking of new ways to add more technology into the equipment when there's no financial incentive to actually use that advanced technology. Instead, it breaks faster, and then you have to pay more on repairing it. Plus, it costs more from the beginning. There's also a security risk that comes with Bluetooth technology, because people can just get control over your equipment. So I never spoke about this publicly before. I did speak about this a lot, face to face. But dry ease, they don't have a way to turn off the Bluetooth from the equipment. So basically, anybody can drive up to a job site, connect to the equipment, and turn it off.
Right.
Phoenix,
right, which is quite scary, actually, when you're thinking about it.
Phoenix has a way to turn off the Bluetooth. So if you never established a connection before, and you just drive up to to a job site with equipment that is not connected to anything, you can just and the equipment is not turned off like you can do with Phoenix, So basically, you can just sabotage your competition. And I contacted the Dry-Ease about this and told them about the issue, and they didn't really have a solution. That was over a year ago, and they did not change anything yet. That's why I really have a problem with this, and I can't recommend it to anybody.
Very, very, very interesting. So obviously, just kind of get into, obviously some of the services that you provide. I mean, you have a Facebook group. You can share, some information on some of the repairs that you do, things like that, some tips and tricks. But I also want to go ahead and give all of the restoration dominators out there that may be listening to this. Maybe they have a warehouse full of equipment that needs to be repaired. They've kind of been thinking about how they can revive this equipment, how they can make it more profitable. They may want to train somebody in-house to learn how to do these repairs, and you may be the solution for them. So talk to us about, number one, talk to us about the Facebook group and what you share on social media. And then number two, let us know where, if someone wanted to go ahead and reach out to you, if they wanted to contact you, they wanted to hire you to show them, how to do these repairs, how they would do that and what their options are.
So first of all, my Facebook group is only for people who actively work in equipment repair. It's not for people who want to learn repairs, because first of all, I don't want to be responsible for anybody getting hurt. And also, random Facebook groups are just not a place to learn something that
right
is complex. So I recommend that you first learn how to repair your own equipment, then you can join the group. And also, if you want to join the group, please answer all of the questions. If you don't answer all of the questions, you will not get approved. For some reason, most people don't answer any of the questions. And if somebody wants to open another group that is open to the public and they're talking about equipment repairs, they are welcome. But in my group, I want to make sure that the people who are in the group are people who, their job is to repair equipment, and that they have a community that enables them to share information, in a place where they can trust each other, and that everybody has the same goals, basically, which is, first of all, being safe, and also, saving money on repair. And if you want to...
And if they wanted to hire you to teach them or teach somebody on their staff, typically what's that process look like? And where would they reach you?
Yeah, basically. Reach out on social media, and I'll give you my cell phone number from social media.
Perfect. So Restoration Dominators, what I'm going to do is actually in the video description below, as well as in the show notes, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and drop a couple of links to where you can go ahead and get in contact with him if this is something that you would want to incorporate in your team. Again, with the way that the industry is going and the way that business is going in general, we want to try to find ways to not only be creative, but to increase profitability wherever it is that we have the ability to do so. And in the case of restoration, we have, this is an equipment intensive, business. So the longer that we can get a piece of equipment to produce profit for us, ultimately, the better that is for our bottom line. And if you could also get it done quickly, effectively, and perhaps even at a fraction of the cost, then that makes for a much better restoration company overall. So parting thoughts, what should every restoration contract do immediately to increase their profitability when it comes down to equipment?
So first of all, make sure that when you buy the equipment, that you're just not doing it because of the brand. Do it because it's the right equipment for you. So if you have tons of money and you just want to create equity for your company and you want to buy more expensive equipment, I mean, that's fine. Some people will do that. But if you want to take on more jobs and you want to use the same amount of money, but to be able to take more jobs, then buy the cheaper equipment or spend less money on equipment that will increase profitability too. Another thing is that the traditional repair shops are expensive. So when you buy expensive equipment, to also be ready to pay a lot of money on repairs. And even if the repairs are performed in-house, they will also be more expensive just because the parts are more expensive. And I would also, on top of that, would recommend to take care of the safety of the people who are using the equipment. And a lot of people don't do that. And so safety, it's electrical safety. They use leak. They use electricity. Water and electricity does not mix well together unless you know what you are doing. So educate your people on what they are doing. Most people don't even know what the issue is on the inside. Most of them think it's like a vibrating machine that makes water, and they don't really know much more. So educate your people, and also leaking machines create damage in the homes. So you have to take precautions to minimize the damage that is created in homes. All the hues will eventually leak. It's a matter of time. So when it does leak, do you want to ruin a carpet? Do you want to ruin the floor? I'm not so sure. So use a pan. Why not use a pan? Most people don't. But there's also other ways. I spoke to Jared. Jared Steer from GMS. So I spoke to him about safety, electrical safety, for about an hour and a half. The episode did not air yet. I think he's too busy hunting, so he didn't air the episode yet. But I mean, we can talk a long time about this subject. If you don't mind me, pushing my products right now. So this is I hope it's not too noisy. So this is a replacement power cord for dehumidifiers. You know how a lot of times people break the ground off of the cord.
Yep.
So a lot of times the plug doesn't fit into the outlet because in older homes there's no ground in the outlet. So people break the ground off of the plug. So I custom designed this replacement cord that fits most dehumidifiers. Comes with the right connectors for most dehumidifiers, and it has
awesome.
An in-wire GFCI on the cord 2 feet away from the plug. And so if you break the ground off of the cord, then you don't have protection from electrocution. So the GFCI will add protection even if the ground is broken off. Then if you break the ground off of this wire, then this 2 feet of wire is replaceable. So it has a molded plug like required in regulations, and you can just replace it, from the GFCI. That way you don't have to replace the whole cord. That will also save a lot of time and also a lot of money and also a lot of waste.
That's awesome. And if someone wanted to go ahead and get in contact with you to go ahead and get some pricing on that, they could just reach out to you on social media, correct?
Right. I've been installing this for mine. And
perfect. Awesome.
If you are not my client and you just want to buy a bunch of these, just reach out to me on social media.
You've been listening to Restoration Domination, your #1 resource for tips, tricks, and hacks to help your business grow. Subscribe to our channel and follow us for more Restoration Domination. And follow our host at Rico Garcia Jr. on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. Till next time, this is Restoration Domination. Hustle, hack, dominate.